My finger hovered over send. Shaking. I told myself being used was better than being invisible. But is it better to be alone than to be consumed by someone pretending to care? The silence in my apartment presses against my eardrums. I am 24. Never had a boyfriend. Never had a friend stick around. Tonight only the laptop glow lights my trembling hands. I stare at a chat window. A stranger asks for something I cannot give. But the loneliness sits on my ribs until breathing hurts. I looked in the mirror before logging on. Bald patches hidden by hats. Acne mapping my chin. Skin stretched tight over bones because I forget to eat. I told myself I was ugly. I told myself I was useless. I told myself being used was the only way to feel real. It started 3 months ago. Obscure book forum. He messaged about an author I love. Kind at first. Asked about my day. Listened to my isolation. My family ignores my voicemails. He was the first to reply. He said I was interesting. For the first time in years, I felt seen. Wait. The kindness did not last. It came in waves. Hours of talking, then vanishing for days. When he returned, he was different. Messages became sexual, not romantic, specific. He fetishized my insecurity. Liked that I was skinny. Liked that I was shy. Said he had a problem with porn. Said I was the real thing. I felt the disconnect. He was not talking to me. He was talking to an idea of me. I noticed the patterns. Only message late at night. Ask how I feel, then steer to my body. Compliment, then go silent for 48 hours. I waited. Checked my phone until the battery died. Sick with anticipation. I knew he was addicted. He said I helped him feel grounded. But I was becoming part of the addiction. I was content for his habit. Last week, he asked for photos. Not just any photos. Things I could never take back. Said it would bring us closer. Said it would prove I trusted him. I sat with my camera app open. Looked at my reflection. Thought about how much I wanted someone to want me, even if it was just to fix his brain chemistry for an hour. I almost did it. I almost sent the photos. I told myself it was transactional. Connection in exchange for privacy. I told myself I was too ugly for love, so abuse is acceptable. That was the moment I hit the bottom. I realized I was negotiating my own dignity because I was afraid of the quiet. I typed out a message saying I would do it. My finger hovered over the send button. Wait. I did not send it. Something stopped me. Maybe the way my hand shook. Maybe the memory of my mother not answering the phone. I closed the camera app. Opened a new tab. Went to a community forum. Typed out my story. Told them I was lonely. Told them I was ugly. Told them I was considering letting this man use me. I hit post and I waited. Responses came fast. Strangers told me I was not ugly. Told me I was not useless. Told me vulnerability makes you an easy target for predators. One person wrote that loneliness does not justify accepting exploitation. Another said I deserved love without conditions. I read the comments until my eyes burned. I cried. Not the quiet crying I do in the shower. I sobbed. I realized I was not the only one who felt this way. I looked at the chat window again. The man had messaged while I was writing. He asked if I was still there. Asked if I was thinking about him. Tone was impatient. Did not ask if I was okay. Did not ask why I was quiet. He just wanted his fix. I saw him clearly for the first time. He was not a lifeline. He was a trap. He was the enemy I had invited into my safe space. I typed a new message. Told him I was not sending the photos. Told him I was not going to talk to him anymore. Told him he was not being a friend. He replied instantly. Called me a tease. Called me broken. Said nobody else would want me. His words landed like blunt force, but they did not cut me this time. I had heard the strangers online. I had heard my own voice in the post I wrote. I knew he was lying. I blocked him. The backlight died, leaving my reflection in the black glass. The silence came back into the room, but it felt different. It was not heavy anymore. It was just quiet. I sat there in the dark and I breathed. I am still lonely. I am still 24 with no boyfriend. I still have acne and I still have anxiety. But I am not used. I am not content for his habit. I am here. I updated my post to thank the supporters. Told them I would no longer engage with the man. Told them I recognized that vulnerability makes me an easy target. Told them I was learning to sit with the loneliness instead of filling it with poison. The comments filled with hope. People shared their own stories. I realized connection exists without exploitation. I realized I do not have to pay for attention with my soul. I know it will be hard tomorrow. I know I will wake up, and the silence will be there. I know I will want to message him. I know the urge to be seen will ache in my chest. But I also know what happens when I give in. I know what it feels like to be an object in someone else's addiction. I know I am worth more than a late-night text. I know I am worth more than a fetish. When you are vulnerable and lonely, you are an easy target for predators. I am ugly, miserable, and useless, but that does not mean I deserve to be used or abused. I repeated that sentence to myself until I believed it. I looked in the mirror again. I saw the bald patches. I saw the acne. I saw the skinny arms, but I also saw the eyes that cried. I saw the hands that typed the truth. I saw a person who survived the night. I am not asking for a miracle. I am not asking for a boyfriend to appear at my door. I am asking for the strength to stay alone until something better comes. I am asking for the dignity to say no when yes feels easier. I am asking for the chance to find connection that does not hurt. I am still here. I am still writing. I am still breathing. The laptop screen dimmed as the battery ran low. I let it go dark. I sat in the room with the silence. I listened to the fridge hum. I listened to the traffic outside. I listened to my own heart beating. It was steady. It was strong. I stood up and I walked to the kitchen. I made a cup of tea. I held the warm mug in my hands. I felt the heat. I felt real. Is it better to be alone than to be used by someone who pretends to care? I know the answer now. Yes, it is better. I would rather be alone in the dark than be used in the light. I would rather be invisible than be an object. I would rather be myself than be someone else's relief. I am anonymous. I am 24. I am lonely, but I am free. I will keep writing. I will keep posting. I will keep looking for the people who see me for who I am. I will keep waiting for the kindness that does not vanish. I will keep protecting myself from the traps I set for myself. I am not useless. I am not broken. I am healing, and that is enough for tonight. The sun started to come up. The gray light filtered through the blinds. It touched the floor. It touched my feet. I watched the dust motes dance in the beam. I watched the day begin. I watched myself survive. I am still here, and I am not sending the photos. I am not going back. I am moving forward, one breath at a time.
Hello, I'm Dr. Julian Reed. What we observe here is a textbook case of vulnerability-targeted intermittent reinforcement, a pattern where an emotionally unavailable individual exploits another's isolation by offering sporadic validation, just enough to sustain hope, but never enough to foster genuine connection. This dynamic thrives in the shadows of digital anonymity, where accountability dissolves and fantasy can be curated without consequence. Let me be unequivocal. Your loneliness is not a flaw. Your desire for connection is not weakness. The ache you carry, the one that makes even a distorted reflection of attention feel like salvation, is profoundly human. You are not ugly, miserable, and useless. You are a person in pain, and pain distorts perception. When the world has offered you rejection, a single thread of attention, however frayed, can feel like a lifeline. That does not make you foolish. It makes you vulnerable, and vulnerability in the wrong hands becomes a point of entry. The individual you describe does not see you. He sees a fantasy, a vessel for his compulsions, a screen onto which he projects desire without the burden of reciprocity. His addiction is not your responsibility, but his choice to direct that compulsive energy toward someone he knows is isolated. That is not accident, that is pattern. The weird behavior you note is the friction between his fantasy and your humanity. When you step outside the role he's assigned, the connection falters, because it was never built to hold a real person. Intermittent kindness is not kindness. It is a hook, and hooks are designed to catch. You recognized something critical. When you're vulnerable and lonely, you're an easy target. That insight is not self-loathing. It's survival intelligence. The fact that you chose to step back even while the loneliness still screams is not a small act. It is the first fragile assertion of a boundary. That matters. Protecting your inner world from those who would consume it without nourishing it is not isolationism. It is self-preservation. And yet, here is where I must be darkly compassionate. The moral landscape here is not clean. Isolation is a form of suffering. To choose dignity in the face of crushing loneliness requires a strength that few are asked to muster. Some will argue that any connection, even a flawed one, is preferable to the void. Others will insist that self-respect cannot be negotiated. Both positions hold truth. Both carry cost. The tragedy is that the question should never have been forced upon you. Connection should not require surrender. So I ask you, watching this unfold, when the only hand offered is stained, do you take it to keep from falling, or do you let yourself hit bottom to learn the shape of your own strength? There is no universal answer, only the one you choose in the quiet when no one is watching, and the courage to live with its weight.